normal to get mad. It's normal to get sad, but it's not normal to get mad for a month about something as stupid as somebody cutting in front of you in traffic.
I'm very passionate about helping trauma survivors retrain their traumatized brains so they can regain control of their life.
I feel like a human again.
PTSD is a really interesting and challenging reality for far too many people, unfortunately. And if you think about just the term itself, post-traumatic stress disorder, it has to do with an event that has happened in somebody's past that is really directing their present state of mind. And it's very hard for people to let go of this thing that has happened in the past, and they feel like they're living it over and over and over again. And it's very hard to break that cycle. And so the thing about flow as an example, when you get into flow, a lot of the changes in your brain that happen allow you to be very present. I think a hallmark of the flow experience is that all of a sudden, again, you're free from being able to time travel in your mind, both into the past or to project into the future. And when you are stripped of that power and you are left with only what is right in front of you, for people that have struggled with a traumatic type of an incident, they get to experience the liberation of being free from their past for a brief time. Why do we have this skill of time travel as human beings? And let's be clear about this. Human beings have this ability that not any other animal that we really know has. Like, we can think about the past and we can think about the future in ways that pretty much no other animal can do. The ability to time travel for human beings in our own minds is a very useful survival skill. But as it turns out, this is a very poor high performance skill, because when you think about performance anxiety or anxiety of any kind, where does it come from? Very little of stress that we feel has to do with what's happening here and now. Sometimes it is, sometimes there are real dangers in front of us, but most of the time, the anxiety that we feel is wrapped up in what happened before, and am I dragging that into the current state of my life, or am I worrying about what is yet to come? Those are really counterproductive for flow, they're really counterproductive for high performance, and they're frankly counterproductive for a happy existence in life. Happiness and high performance and well-being really live in the here and now, and we know that with certain tools and practices and strategies, we can learn to shift the state of our brains so that we can be present more often.
The worst outcome for trauma, as Martin Seligman figured out, is learned helplessness. Right? This happens in animals, it happens in humans, where it's trauma is so severe you just give up. Flow is literally the opposite. It's like learned powerfulness. So in trauma, you have no control. In flow, you have total control, and this seems to be the shift between the two.
My name is Dr. Pamela Serafin. I'm a neuropsychotherapist. I'm also a trauma treatment expert and the developer of neurorhythmic trauma therapy, and I am a world percussionist. So the flow state of mind, I really think there's a lot of misconception of this. I would describe it as an intrinsically motivating, pleasurable mental state that contributes to peak performance and optimal experiences. When you go into the flow state, you've got a change in the prefrontal cortex. It starts to move back into the limbic reward circuitry. The anterior cingulate cortex, which is the area of the brain that helps determine the difference between what you feel and what you think, is activated with the flow state, along with the insula. That's the area of your brain that is your felt sense, your body sense, your sensations inside. Those are activated. It's not just, flow for the sake of flow. You're actually retraining your brain, and the flow state impacts that for trauma survivors. So it's incredibly valuable.
That's what flow is. It's about being locked into the present. Some people call this experience the deep now. Just being really connected with what's happening right here and right now. And that can be very freeing for people who are having a very difficult time letting go of past experiences. And there's some really interesting research on how flow can be a powerful tool. There is music therapy for people with PTSD. These things can help people for brief periods of time escape sort of the tyranny of their past or their fear of the future and allow them to be free in the present moment.
Instead of focusing on mental health illnesses and mental health disorders, positive psychology leans towards wellness and optimization and positive emotions. I'm a trauma survivor myself. I have a long history of trauma, and I started university with this desire to learn about how I could relate the drumming part to something that was valuable. And when it comes to flow, when you learn that you yourself have this ability to train your brain to create this state, that gives you the power, lasting happiness and fulfillment. And that's what I think most people are chasing, not just the goal of achievement, but it's this lasting amount. And that has to do with creating this integrated brain, and flow can help achieve that. Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Dr.
Come
Brown,
on
how are you?
in. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I deal mostly with military, first responders. I specialize in men's mental health. So when I work with them, it's kind of divided into top-down strategies, which is using your mind to retrain the brain, and bottom-up, which is using your body to retrain the brain. So when I'm working with somebody, a lot of that is showing them and giving them results per week of what it's like to take conscious control of your brain.
No, I've been pretty good. I mean, I've had some moments or whatever, but
Yeah.
I find that when I get on the cajon and
Yeah.
it kind of works. I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah.
So I've been doing fine. I've had some low points, but whatever I do, I just jump on the thing and I'm fine.
Yeah, are you still using the other strategies like breathing
Yep.
fire and 4-minute? Learning how to reset your nervous system, learning how to integrate emotions and releasing toxic energy, and reconditioning the mindset, and then restoring connections, and that's the part with flow. So a lot of people with PTSD or complex PTSD, they really have detached their heads basically from their bodies. That's disassociation because of the such painful, distressing sensory input coming through their bodies. So I really help them to get in a position where they're in command of their brain, so that when they reprocess this sensory input from the world, they are able to handle it and be able to control it. And that's a huge part of the training. think of self-mastery as being a competition between your brain and your soul.
Okay.
We talked about the soul, the dying soul.
Yeah.
So unless you feed your soul and nourish your soul and get it as powerful as you can to control your brain,
Yeah.
right? You need that. Otherwise, your brain will crush your soul,
Yeah.
right? And that's what happens when a lot of times when you come in here. So your brain overtakes it. So we have to set the intention and make sure we're feeding our soul. So
Right.
this is what I think we're going to do today,
Okay.
right? We're
Sure.
we're gonna have some fun. We got to inject some fun here.
Yeah. I've been in the fire department for 20 years. We've had a few members that have had hard times after retirement. And as I get closer to retirement, I want to make sure that when I'm done, I'm okay. I don't think you know you're in it when you're in it, sort of thing. So this thing kind of has helped me get out of there. So it's good.
So here's the thing. We're going to do this together. We'll build it up. But if I increase the speed more than you can play, then I want you to just do the bases.
Okay.
Okay? So only go within your skill sets.
So flow has this element of, yes, there's a meditative component to it, but there's also this really creative element to it. And so we know that this is the rhythm that athletes and musicians, it's just what happens in the brain when you get into your zone or when flow starts to show up. This stereotypical rhythm seems to show up. And of course, that's interesting because what we now know is that we have the ability to change the electrical rhythm of our brains intentionally.
So this is a ticket to ride, right? This tempo. So you're going to want to stay really relaxed, remember? Oh, you're going fast already. What are you doing? We're warming up. Okay, make sure you relax. Keep your shoulders. Yeah, make sure you're breathing. Make sure you're breathing. Oh, yeah. Okay, bring it down. That's good. Do not stop breathing, though. Okay, go slow. Go slow. Stay relaxed. We're gonna do it again, okay? Okay, here we go. Nice and
I used to be a very angry man, and I'm not so angry anymore. I was not managing myself very well. I mean, I wasn't totally out of control and you know, a problem, but I just wasn't in control of myself the way that I wanted to be.
That's it. That's it.
I've talked to counselors before. It's not the first time that I've went and sought help with processing things. But this therapy, for some weird reason, works, and I can't really explain why. I think through the PTSD and everything, there's some disconnect that goes along, and somehow I believe this ties it together.
God, come back! Don't you dare stop! Okay. Right there. Nice. That's it. Remember, a lot of it was because when you came in, you didn't even think of that concept of using your soul or your spirit, whatever, to control your brain.
Yeah.
That idea of having conscious control, most people don't even know that
Right.
exists.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
was kind of the starting point for us. We were like, oh no, you can control it.
Yeah, definitely. And there have been times where I've kind of lost that control and said, hey, wait
Yeah.
a second, you're steering the ship here, right?
Yeah.
So, there are things that you have to remind yourself of. It's not completely embedded, but I
Yeah.
do know that it's more me now than it used to be.
Yeah, and you'll never go back to
Yeah.
how it was. You will
That's
always
good.
know you have control.
Yeah.
And that's the self-mastery that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. No, welcome back. Oh, yeah, feel good?
Yeah.
Okay,
totally.
okay.
Ça a amené le base drum, ensuite il faut juste que le logo dénonce.
Ouais. My name's Dominic Bureau. I've been in the military for 21 years, and I am a drummer. I was diagnosed with PTSD in January 2020. PTSD is kind of a long-term thing. It's something that doesn't pop up. It slowly gets to you. And how, for me, I kind of realized something was really off is I came back home after a really great vacation. We had a great time, family time, lots of food. And as I drove home, the anxiety just picked up to a point I never felt that anxious in my life. I had to stop on the side of the road just for about 15-20 minutes, maybe half an hour, just sitting in the driver's seat, almost crying and not wanting to keep going. Shaking, you're literally shaking.
When it comes to PTSD and the traumatized brain, you have to remember that if the brain has picked up a traumatic experience and has not processed, it's going to change the functioning of the brain and the structure of the brain. So it doesn't matter whether or not somebody's been diagnosed with PTSD. You still have to learn, whether you have trauma or not, how to retrain your brain to work to your advantage. And just flow is just one of the ways that you can benefit doing so.
So after my diagnosis with PTSD in 2020, I started the process with the military, which is you do your interviews, and once you're diagnosed, now the cycle of medication starts. Then the sessions with the psychiatrist. But the side effects were extremely overwhelming. So I took medication for a while, and then I stopped because the side effects were too much. I was okay for a while, and later when stress comes up in your life, everything just comes back up, all those feelings, till you explode. I did this cycle about 3 or 4 times, and at this point I said I have to find something else. There must be something out there that will get me out of that cycle.
Creativity is an emergent property of being in flow. So when you're in flow, you get more creative. But the interesting thing about creativity is it can also be a flow trigger. So you can practice being creative as a way of nudging yourself towards being in flow.
I went to Iraq in 2016, and when I got back, I was living on my own, and I had tons of room, so that's when I bought my first kit.
Dom is an incredible human being, and he's like what I would consider a badass motherfucker. He came in just so tough, but he's very typical of the type of guys that I work with because they're mentally tough. It has nothing to do with that. He's in the military, so he's seen a lot, done a lot. They're mentally tough, they're disciplined, They did everything they were supposed to do, and you can still be miserable and full of anger because it is your traumatized brain. All the mental toughness in the world doesn't retrain that. So you still have to have the skills in place. And so that's what I worked a lot with Dom, and he you know, he is one of those guys that, man, he changed so much. It was absolutely phenomenal.
It's normal to get mad. It's normal to get sad, but it's not normal to get mad for a month about something as stupid as somebody cutting in front of you in traffic. I don't want to take pills for the rest of my life. I want to find something that will help me forever, and then I won't have to go through that cycle again. Well, you set up, you get in the mindset, you get in the, okay, that's gonna be fun, we're gonna have a good time. And just, yeah. It's like the ritual, the pray, show ritual, the pray, fun. And you get good and used to it because nobody ever helps you in the band.
To challenge yourself while feeling effortless. This is important. This is part of the brain's reward circuitry, once again. So in order for your brain to catch on to this, say something was difficult, you do it a couple times, you stop, you reset, then you purposely think, I'm gonna do this next. Every time you accomplish it, you're gonna get more dopamine, and this is this cycle. This is why you still have to be pushing your skills. It really is a full brain workout to be learning and playing music.
My happy place. My main hope with that whole experience is that other brothers that I serve with or anywhere that see that realize that there's something else. There's ways to go overcome your challenges, overcome your trauma. It is not a good place to be, but there's hope, there's ways, and it's not always conventional. There's new technologies, new discoveries, new techniques, and I really truly believe this one is a really good one, and a lot of people could benefit for that. I haven't touched medication since summer 2021. I haven't touched any pills. I don't feel the need, but I know my triggers. I know on the inside when I start reacting to something, and I haven't been even close to that in the last year and a half. You know, it's amazing. I feel like a human again.